Today it's James's turn to tell you the story of Joseph.
Genesis chapter 41. Joseph interprets the king's dreams. After 2 years had passed, the king of Egypt dreamt that he was standing by the river Nile, when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began to feed in the grass. Then 7 other cows came up. They were thin and bony. They came and stood by the cows on the river bank, and the thin cows ate up the fat cows. Then the king woke up. He fell asleep again and had another dream. 7 ears of corn, full and ripe, were growing on one stalk. Then 7 other ears of corn sprouted, thin and scorched by the desert wind, and the thin ears of corn swallowed the full ones. The king woke up and realized that he had been dreaming. In the morning he was worried. So he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. He told them his dreams, but no one could explain them to him. Then the wine steward said to the king, "I must confess today that I have done wrong. You were angry with the chief baker and me, and you put us in prison in the house of the captain of the guard. One night each of us had a dream, and the dreams had different meanings. A young Hebrew was there with us, a slave of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. Things turned out just as he said. You restored me to my position, but you executed the baker." The king sent for Joseph, and he was immediately brought from the prison. After he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came into the king's presence. The king says to him, "I have had a dream, but no one can explain it. I have been told that you can interpret dreams." Joseph answered, "I cannot, your majesty, but God will give me a favorable interpretation." The king said, "I dreamt that I was standing on the banks of the Nile, when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began feeding on the grass. Then 7 other cows came up, which were thin and bony. They were the poorest cows I had ever seen anywhere in Egypt. The thin cows ate up the fat ones, but no one would have known it because they looked just as bad as before. Then I woke up. I also dreamt that I saw 7 ears of corn, which were full and ripe, growing on one stalk. Then 7 ears of corn sprouted, thin and scorched by the desert wind. And the thin ears of corn swallowed the full ones. I told the dreams to the magicians, but none of them could explain them to me." Joseph said to the king, "The 2 dreams mean the same thing. God has told you what he's going to do. The 7 fat cows are 7 years, and the 7 full ears of corn are also 7 years. They have the same meaning. The 7 thin cows which came up later, and the 7 thin ears of corn scorched by the desert, are 7 years of famine. It is just as I told you. God has shown you what he is going to do. There will be 7 years of great plenty in all of the land of Egypt. After that there will be 7 years of famine, and all the good years will be forgotten, because the famine will ruin the country. The time of plenty will be entirely forgotten, because the famine which follows will be so terrible. The repetition of your dream means that the matter is fixed by God, and that he will make it happen in the near future. Now you should choose some man with wisdom and insight and put him in charge of the country. You must also appoint other officials. You take 1/5 of the crop during the 7 years of plenty. Order them to collect all the food during the good years that are coming, and give them authority to store up corn in the cities and guard it. The food will be reserved, a supply for the country during the 7 years of famine which are going to come on Egypt. In this way, the people will not starve. Amen, and may God add his blessing.